Good morning. It's Friday, February 20th, 2026, and we are in House Transportation looking at our response letter to House Appropriations Committee that's due at the end of the day today, so that every one of the members, each of the members has an email version of the letter, and our Ledge Council is here to look at any changes that we may want to make, and then be looking for them to deliver it on our behalf today. So if we can sort of take it up, and if anybody at any point has some comments, we're certainly there. Thank you for the work that you've done overnight. I appreciate it. It's not an easy task to try to take everybody else's comments and put them together. And we're certainly getting there, I think. Some of the wordsmithing changes that I had is in the second paragraph. I guess it's technically the third paragraph. The nevertheless, I'm not sure that's a style issue, but Vermont continues to experience significant transportation funding challenges. I would like to add the word structural in there, that it's not just annually, but it's a structural long-term piece. So whether you want to remove significant or not, or just put structural or significant structural, but
either way.
we just want to say structural. There we go. That's one of my suggestions. I would, the word nevertheless, to me, you can take it out if nobody cares or not, but try to shorten it up a little bit. But I wanted to say that it was a structural transportation funding challenges, because that's the, what you describe in the next sections we described.
All right. Get the loading screen. Okay. What else?
Thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Was it 1.5 or 1.2?
1.5 was the corrected number that Logan
Oh,
sent me last night.
Okay, yeah, for some reason I just had 1.2.
I had 1.2 in there in the initial
No,
draft.
I'm just, I
Logan.
should make that right before I keep on saying.
Yeah.
1.5. I'm gonna make that mental change, all right? Yeah.
In that statement, did we, I mean, I think it's fine, and we could pick that to death, but do we say, not keeping up with inflation or something like that? I don't know, it does say that, construction costs have risen. Transportation fund revenues do not keep up with inflation. Estimated to increase by only 1.5%.
I think that says that. I mean,
Yeah,
without
it does. No, I'm all right. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Basically says it in a few spots.
Yeah. Can't remember that one.
Okay. In a typical year, the Agency of Transportation can only fund about 1/3 of municipal grant requests.
Yeah.
Because they just in the typical year, the Agency of Transportation funds only 1/3 of municipal grant requests. Municipal projects.
Maybe instead of a typical year, the agency is only able to fund.
Yes.
So instead of a
Take out-
typical
yeah, take
year,
out
the
the
agency is only able to fund.
Yep. Instead of Keener, so the Agency of Transportation is only able.
I guess, do we really make a point about the effect of that, about forcing the municipals hand and putting it on the property taxpayers and their end? Do we sort of say that or not? Because their argument is like, well, we can't take the money because it's increasing property taxes.
I think
It does happen.
I think they should connect it. I think
Yeah, yeah.
we should not be shy about connecting to it,
This-
forcing,
Yeah.
this to be borne by property taxes, because that is the issue in my town.
Yeah.
Is like, we cannot afford to do these things that some of which are needs, not just wants.
So then delaying numerous municipal projects while increasing or was it leaving the towns with only local property tax
Yeah.
increasing the,
numerous projects and or forcing increases in
Yeah.
local municipal
Yeah,
property
yeah,
taxes.
You know,
Come
I
on,
mean,
Damien, let's get this right.
yeah, this is, if, three select board eyes on this, right? Maybe more,
Yeah.
but in this committee. This is how we would look at things.
We
you
heard
know?
that.
Yeah,
Transportation budget in many small municipalities, it's the biggest thing.
it is, yeah. And the area
Project that costs
greatest need too,
Yeah.
yeah.
even $200,000 for culverts.
I'm glad that we expanded it because it seemed like it was the first time we've introduced the town highway piece, so I'm glad there's a little bit more there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going. They've heard the 60%, so.
you want to leave that in or take it out?
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if, the sentence, the state and local maintenance backlog is growing. I mean, right now, we can't add more projects to the list. Like, the list is full until 2035 or 20. I mean, to me, that's a pretty significant. So I'm just wondering if we want to say the state and local maintenance backlog is growing, M dash, accepting no new projects until 2036, 37. I can't remember the actual date
But,
or year.
but there's still new projects.
Exactly, but the
Yeah,
point that they
yeah,
can't
I mean-
even accept any new ones to put on the list for 10 years is, like, that to me is really telling, but
So I think what we're trying to say is, and there's no capacity to add current project or additional projects to the current program for the next 10 years.
yeah, or they
Yeah.
cannot accept
is it-
new projects until
Yeah,
2036.
yeah.
And what kind of projects are those? Are they, are we saying those are regional, they're local, they're municipal, they're all gonna be?
They're
don't-
all- Yeah.
Aren't they the town's structures?
Yeah.
And I'm just,
Yeah.
I agree with what you're trying to say, and I think we do want to say that because they've stopped taking the, I don't know how you say it, but they're not taking any additional
Regional
investment.
planning might identify an intersection that
Well, they're not
needs
taking-
something, they're not.
He specifically said the VTS, I don't know if you want to get that,
VTS,
but
yeah.
they're not accepting any additional, I agree that we should put something in there.
And so,
But they're still out there, I totally agree.
who is the they in this case that we're talking about?
Agency.
The agency. is
Yeah.
not
The agency is unable to accept new projects until 2036.
That's what their chief engineer
Yes.
Okay.
testified, right?
Yep.
So the whole idea of the transportation department right now is just to pay everybody.
And maintain the work that they're doing
Yeah.
on what they're at
Everything in
right now,
line.
but we're not asking, so a town comes with a problem and there's no way to put a new one into the budget.
I know, I'm aware.
And yeah, so maintaining what we have is certainly what the word that I would say that we heard. I would agree with you that that's what they're doing. We're doing the minimum of what we can do. Which I fair, we're not writing that. I'm just saying that's what's happening out there. There's no plan to bring new solutions to the town. I
Infrastructure.
appreciate the forcefulness that which you'd like to add.
Uh,
And I guess instead of number 2036, while transportation infrastructure throughout Vermont is deteriorating.
yeah. Should we say while it continues deteriorating?
It's an everyday thing. They like to touch that upon us while we sit here. They deteriorate.
Yeah. Cheap, especially Bethel Mountain.
The Agency of Transportation is only able to fund about, the Agency of Transportation funds about 1/3 of municipal grant requests. I would suppose the public out is only able to The Agency of Transportation funds about 1/3 of municipal grant requests. Delaying numerous municipal projects and forcing increases in municipal property taxes. State and local maintenance backlog is growing. The agency is unable to add additional projects until 2036, while transportation infrastructure throughout Vermont continues deteriorating. Current transportation funding model, the agency projects that roughly 60% state roads will be in poor condition by 2030.
Pretty much
Read it
captures it.
again.
Yeah.
Are those numbers all accurate? JFO? 60%, they projected 60% of but the money that we're funding only about 1/3 of municipal grant requests, and you already looked at that part anyway, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Accurate as of last night.
Hopefully.
Fiscal year 2027, the ongoing funding challenges created an estimated $33.4 million shortfall in the state match for federal funding, which could impact the state's ability to address its roughly $163 million federal funding. To address the shortfall or to address the budget shortfall, and is it just clear enough as the budget? All right, it said budget in the next one. Then it's part. Anybody have, does that convey what are we trying to say? That that $33 million budget gap and they did all of these things to fix it?
Do we want to say which will impact the state's ability versus which could? I mean, then we go on to say kind of how we're making changes to address that.
So, in talking to Logan, we went from, I had previously the which will, but the which could seemed more appropriate because it depends. The total amounts depend on how you apply for it and what you're seeking to do, et cetera. So,
Which program it's in?
Okay.
yeah, so for, being less definitive
Okay.
seemed appropriate there because your matches are different depending on what you're doing and so forth.
Also, like, this is the choice that is made to do it this way.
Right.
Yeah.
And doing things like using the indirect cost rate diminishes how much you can pull down for projects, et cetera.
So I shared this with our liaison to appropriations for a quick run through. And he only had one question that he thought his chair might ask, which is under the use of the federal indirect cost rate to obtain federal reimbursement of overhead and operating, which reduces the amount of federal funding available for projects in this year's transportation program. And he said, okay, if she says, or the chair were to say, how many projects, how much money, and if we were able to get you how much money, what would we, how do we fill, if we were able to fill that statement, how much would you need and what projects would they be? And I don't know if we can answer that or not. There's two parts, the second bullet, which reduces the amount of federal funding available for projects in this year's transportation program. And his question was, do you know how much that is and what programs they are and what if we gave you more money, how much would that be? And well, we know it's 12 million, but what would that do to what work gets done this year was the question. If appropriations were to come up with
Well, if
that much money, what would it
apply
be?
that 12 million to the same, what we did for 10 million to get 63, I mean, you could do it like that.
Well, this is already federal dollars that we're pulling down, so it's not state dollars being used for the match.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so the indirect cost, we're using that money because we have a shortfall to cover basic operating expenses. But that means that the $12 million can't be applied to projects. So unlike last year where we used 10 to pull down an additional 63, which resulted in a whole lot. I don't
This
know
is
the
a
numbers,
straight-
but this might be more of a,
This isn't like, there's no duplicator that would.
there's no multiplier on this.
It's $12 million that we will not be able to put into
Right,
projects.
that's something, so
Yeah.
that's-
If we didn't do this and we had $2.5 million of state money, we could take that and the 12 million that it takes, then we could, put that many more projects in place. But we need that 12 million for administration. So we need 12 million of administration. We have to find 12, then plus a couple million for the match. And so if you had 14 million, you could release all that federal money for projects versus admin.
Okay, that
So
that
can-
makes sense to me.
Could we say, at the end of operating expenses, have a period and then say, next sentence would be, this reduces the amount of federal funding available for projects in this year's transportation program by a certain amount
Or we-
or
You can
approximately.
do it with a comma too,
Yeah.
then I don't have to repunctuate the whole list.
But it doesn't.
Which I'm happy to do.
No, we could, why don't we just say
Sorry.
reducing,
I'm just trying to get that.
$14 million in transportation programs
12.
with, well, it's 12 plus the two, like, as Phil was saying, if it's, we've got the 12 million in federal funds, we'd have to match it with 20% state funds to release that to projects.
I'm not sure that I can comfortably say that.
Yeah, that's tough
Sure.
to do.
I
It goes
would-
back, what I was saying is that about why we're not leaving federal dollars on the table, we're leaving projects on the table.
Yes.
I don't know how to say it, except for that.
Yeah. Right.
Why don't we just say that?
Yeah,
Not on
but I don't know how you
the
put it
table,
into
but,
that. I mean,
Yeah.
Pros will get with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't get to your question.
Yeah.
Well, then he said the question was, if I got you $12 million, what would it get me? I guess that's what, an agency question then that we'd have to know the answer to?
I think it would be an agency question.
So that's what he asked is, all right, if we were able
Well,
to
it
find the
would
money,
be,
what would you do with it?
it would be similar to the projects you saw that they added with the 10, right?
Right.
This gate projects or whatever they had.
Right.
So for the record, Logan Moore from the Joint Fiscal Office. If you got $12 million in general fund money and you wanted to use it for the same purpose as the federal indirects, you wouldn't get anything additional, you just wouldn't. You'd be using T fund for the indirects instead of the federal funds for the indirects. It wouldn't change the budget, you wouldn't get anything else unless you change the whole makeup of how you're using funds in its entirety. But just swapping out 12 for 12 is just changing where the 12 is coming from.
But you're saving the purity of federal dollars for projects down the
Right.
road.
Theoretically, yes, there
Yes.
would be $12 million of federal funds that you're not spending this year,
Yeah.
but in the current budget construct, just swapping the funding source won't actually
Correct.
get you anything more
For this year.
Yeah.
I see.
for this year.
That's money we expect to get,
But,
and we're now gonna use it for admin.
Correct.
but I think it's important to highlight the opportunity cost as the illustrative of the larger structural problem. So I don't know how you say that, but I think we're getting there.
Pile on a little bit. Is it just this fiscal year? Because we're talking about 2 years, aren't we taking?
So we last used the indirect cost rate to pay expenses in 2022, I believe, and then we're using it again this year
And we're gonna-
In 2022, we did it because we had,
and last year.
And next year.
And next year, yeah,
we did, I'm sorry, in 2022, we did it for a very different reason.
yeah.
We had more money than they wanted to take advantage of the maximum amount of ARPA money that was out there at the time, or IIJ money, which is one of those.
See, the problem is the culmination of the two, they're not isolated, so, the other factor, I think you gotta factor in, it's the advanced federal dollars, the advanced construction. So not only are we diluting the federal dollars that we have now, we're taking future federal dollars to spend on that 10 million from the ed fund, so we're shortchanging ourselves in the out years, these federal dollars, in my mind. And you could be just looking at our paving budget, it goes down to, it's 140 and goes down to 70 something. That's, in my opinion, is a direct result of the actions that we're doing here. But again, I don't know how you capture all that. That's the effect.
Well, we're trying to emphasize that we did reduction in
Yeah.
force and we're doing indirect cost ratio. I did hear the point that it's going to be for 2 years. I don't know if we didn't say that there in this, anywhere, just to say in this year's program and next, or not, is it this year's and next year's?
Oh, no, they make it clear, it's
They're gonna do it for 2 years, so we have to add
at least.
in this year and future transportation. Okay. Then down below, then it's in this year and future transportation programs or something.
This is the amount for our funding available for projects. This year's. Transportation.
Okay,
How's that?
okay.
Um. Foods. Let's see. It's 2 fiscal years.
And then. Provide the purchasing.
Yeah, and then reductions in state match available for projects. Deeply concerned about these ongoing funding challenges and hopes to continue working with the committee on appropriations to address them.
I suppose instead of hopes, we will, I still.
Looks forward to.
Sorry, I caught.
Well, Representative Lally suggested looks forward to, or I would say will, so they deeply concerned about these ongoing funding challenges, and will continue working in committee on appropriations to address them. Probably continue work with all parties, but I don't know how exactly. The effort here is to convey to them that we know this creates problems everywhere and that it's ongoing for multiple years. And you can't check it off your list as done this year, even after you pass this budget, we're not done. We're still gonna be right back at you again next year. With this problem that's existing. It's not going away, but we understand it. We're trying to be sensitive to it and we're trying to recognize that we're all gonna have to keep working on it.
Yeah, and well, I thought we gave them ideas, or is that later on?
Yeah, it's just, that's coming.
Oh, that's coming.
Yeah. Now we're going to purchase and use then. Unless anybody thinks that sentence is not necessary, that's what we're trying to convey in that sentence that we've just skipped by.
We just ended it at ongoing funding challenges, period, and then, got rid of the. And move on to what we, we're doing.
So I think we're down with that in all of this.
Right, there you go. We could just say that even the deficit projected to grow in future years. And
By saying that you're both deeply concerned and will continue working, you're acknowledging that this is going to have to be an ongoing partnership. And there is a tendency to send wish lists down to appropriations and kind of say, find us the money. So this does also convey, and again, this is up to the committee, but it does convey that you want this to be a collaborative effort. And you're not just expecting them to pull money out of a hat and provide it. So it's kind of a conciliatory thing saying, we know we're asking you for, this is going to be years of millions of dollars being asked for to adjust this. So, but it can come out, but it's sort of trying to be conciliatory and acknowledging that they're going to be getting however many of these. And they're going to have a challenging wish list after today.
is everybody convinced by the argument?
I think it's a good idea, and
Yeah,
my one suggestion is, I might say, and will continue working with, instead of hopes to continue.
yeah, and I made that
Let's
change.
do it. Okay.
Yeah, right there, will.
Okay, great.
So the next section expresses support for the governor's proposal to gradually reduce the amount of the purchase and use tax that are allocated to the education fund and to reallocate that money to the transportation fund. The $10 million proposed will provide the state match for roughly $53 million in federal funding. And Logan corrected me, I had 63 million, but we've edited that so that it's more accurate. And then the staged reduction in revenues allocated to the ed fund will help to partially address the state's transportation funding challenges. So trying to convey that this is not the solution to this issue. It's part of the solution.
I was good with that. I remember what everybody else said. I did have a change to the next paragraph that I would like to make. And I would, instead of the however by itself, I would probably take that expression out, and I would say the gradual reallocation of the purchase and use tax revenues may not be enough instead of will, because they sort of less, we're not for certain, but this is the part that we wanted to make sure was in here. We may not be enough to address the transportation fund's ongoing revenue challenges. I just wanted to, that was my little two suggestions.
And then additional revenue enhancements may be necessary to place the T fund on sustainable financial footing. Because of this, the committee will continue to explore potential opportunities to increase the revenue dedicated to the transportation fund, including implementation of the mileage-based user fee, the identification of items currently subject to sales and use tax that should be subject to the purchase and use tax, and examination of other potential revenue sources. I think there may have been some other potential sources mentioned yesterday, but I didn't get them all down in my notes. So if there's something that I left off that you want included, rather than just the sort of catch all at the end, please let me know.
Unless we're looking to spark, reaction, it says.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this, what's here currently captures current tax revenues or the idea that we've already been talking about, which is the user pay for battery electric vehicles, which is covered by a registration fee now, but will be covered by the mileage-based user fee in future years.
I won't argue with the may, but I think we know, even if the purchase and use tax comes, unless the economy goes crazy and everybody starts buying cars and trucks more than they have been, that'll be a chunk that'll come, but slowly we'll eat it up. And the gas tax, the way it is now, is going down the tubes. So we know that even with that, it's not going to be enough. We'll need to find, there'll need to be something else. And because even if the federal government gives us more money, we have to match anyways. It's not really about how much they give us, it's how much state money we have to come up with to get it. And in the end, they're not going to spend as much time reading this as we're.
Well, that is interesting, but we went right back to our letter last year and cut and paste a big chunk of it because we were working on a step-by-step.
Yeah.
We're sort of in a step-by-step
Mhm.
effort to change it. So
Right.
I bounce back and forth between how important is it and how much is it read to the part where it's not only read, but it's reused.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does matter sometimes, and then it doesn't matter. As I guess I would say that it is.
No, it
important.
is.
Because we just reused our letter from last year, because we're going to revisit it again next year, because this isn't gonna be done.
Right.
Whether it's us sitting here or the next group of whatever it is, they're gonna be in the same situation. I put suggesting May because we also pulled back on some of the, what did you had a good term for it? I called it the, too prescriptive or whatnot, but
I wonder if like an intermediate option could be like current projections indicate that it won't be enough based on the report we saw from JFO. That's the information that we have.
projection that we will likely not, or anything, it says it isn't. I guess the part of it is that other things could be done if they decide, if there was decisions made about how it was funded that would bring money from somewhere else as opposed to necessarily tax, I guess is what they could bring money elsewhere, right?
It does say that, that last sentence, if it's still there. The stage reduction in, purchase and use revenues allocated to the education fund in future years will help to partially address the state's transportation funding challenges. So that sort of implies this is just, will help, not gonna solve it.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Again, I don't see the reason to hesitate by being bold. We have a lot of needs and the thing I'm really enjoying about our committee this year is we are ambitious about addressing them. I feel this, that is starting to be something that all of us are starting to feel. I know I feel it. And, this is critical to our economy, to people's lives, our workforce, our ability to, reform our education system, healthcare, all sorts of things. And we're a rural state. This is critical. So I don't see, no one else in this building seems to hesitate about being very upfront about their needs. And, we should kind of start doing that too. That's just what I think.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Rep. Pouch, and specifically on the opportunity to tee up the gas tax discussion, because I'm not sure we're not gonna be able to avoid that.
Yeah.
Whether it's this year or next year, but I think I think there's an opportunity there to start drawing attention to that critical piece of taxation.
Yeah, I don't know. What you were thinking.
Mr. Governor.
2 minutes reading this properly. Moving on to something else, I don't know, they're gonna be, yeah.
But
It's
I appreciate that may not, but it still is setting the tone. for
Yeah,
what
it's
we're
setting
willing
the
to
tone.
do
yeah,
And what we're willing to state and whatnot, which is,
yeah.
it may not seem like it on the paper as a big deal one way or another, but it really does influence what we're queuing up, what we're willing to take on the end of this year and the beginning of next year for those that return. It does influence that, but we don't have to keep going over it, but I will say that it does influence what we're willing to take on and what we're staging. And there are people listening that are very much interested whether we're are or are not going to keep touching that third rail.
And even us not mentioning it in the letter, it is bantered about. I mean, everybody knows who knows that, that's the one thing that will have the biggest impact.
Exactly.
Most immediate,
Yeah.
protected within the
So,
T-Fund, can't
Even
be
though
rated by
it's not
anybody
in
else.
here, believe me, the people on the panels,
Is-
people in Ways and
sorry,
Means, they know
But there are other political influences out there as well, yes. I
it. Yeah, on both sides.
which is why we're having this, because anyway.
So I'm not sure if,
We've made a decision.
yes,
Look,
not sure where the committee's at on this here. I'm hearing different thoughts being expressed.
well, I left the will in with, because of this, the committee will continue to explore potential opportunities to increase revenue. I left a will there because I know we're going to do that. But I was suggesting the may because there could be other ways to solve it, I suspect, but I don't hear anybody coming with those ways.
Right.
Anybody else?
Door with 10 cup.
Bake sales and tin cups? All right, Representative Keiser, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I think generally I like it a broad expanse because that leaves, you can go anywhere with it, right? Gas tax, MBUP, anything. So I don't have any problem with being very broad.
Sitting here going, will likely, that's the only thing, or do we change it to will likely not be enough, or the projections suggest it will not be enough? And it changes the whole shirt, so I mean, I think it changes the whole sentence, so we gotta be careful there. All right,
The will likely is stronger than may not, will likely not. All of this is based on projections. And if we're trying to keep it somewhat succinct, I don't know that we need to say the projection piece, we could say just will likely not. Because that's also implying that it, it's like projected to not be enough, based on the modeling that we've got. So I think that, from a,
will likely, you okay with that? Guess that's stronger than may,
firmer.
Yeah, it
but
is.
not as strong as will.
Right,
All righty. What do you think? Move on.
Let's go.
Yep.
yeah.
right,
This is always be crazy.
Starting to smell.
Yeah, well, it is already snowing in the south.
I'm not a good
Down to the
wordsmith.
next
I wasn't an English major, I can tell you that.
paragraph, the only part of the committee understands the photo intertwined, I like that, then the last, the committee on transportation is committed to continuing to work with the committee on appropriations to develop a sustainable revenue framework for the transportation fund. That is what we want to convey, I just is committed to continuing to the committee. I'm like, is there some way to wordsmith that one a little bit, but otherwise, it just, that one kind of got me, the committed to continuing to the committee.
just
Just say will continue to work.
Fully committed.
or is committed to working, will continue to work with.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm hearing will continue to work with. And I tried to get transportation committee and appropriations committee and my editors told me no, so tried to cut out all those ons, but just told them that that's not proper form, so here we are.
I'm assuming we're not leaving out all the other, just by only naming them, we're not leaving everyone else out. Obviously, the administration will have an opinion, the agency will have an opinion.
Ways
Ways and
and
Means will have an
Yeah.
opinion.
I mean, this is a letter, from this committee to that.
Yeah.
So, kinda- yeah,
We don't need to add the term please anywhere. Just put that out
Deliver
there.
the scones
Yeah,
and ham.
right.
And the last section, that was related to the big bill piece that the JFO went through with us. That had to do with a little bit of the central garage transfer and another piece. I want to make sure everybody gives me a nod that they're okay with that one. That sentence that sort of covered that big bill piece about the,
There wasn't
Related to the
anything in
FEMA.
there that, I mean, we'll add some things to that, but I think, yeah.
okay? I
Yeah.
got that last statement wrong. So, other than if, given the concerns of members of the committee to other weather related and other things going on, I guess I would just say that I'm looking for sort of a nod or a thumbs up that we're good with the letter. And if there's any editing that we're done before we send it over, I would commit that I would only be, grammatical or whatnot. I'm not gonna change anything, but if I'm gonna go back and read it, make sure that it's all set, but I'm not gonna change any policy, but you're not seeing the final version, I guess, likely before it goes out this afternoon.
That's fine.
This is as close to the final version, you might be some only grammatical changes. If you're all good with it, Representative White?
So just to confirm, that by having just this one sentence about the governor's proposed budget, that is not holding us back from making some adjustments in, the transportation budget prior to sending it over to the Senate.
Right, this is what's in the big bill.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
We will be going through the language next week on the T-bill language and dealing with some of the proposed amendments or additions. And we are then looking at any potential changes of, we have money changes we want to make. We've got to hear the fors and against on both sides of that. So I have suggested that we can do that more. There's open slots available next week, Thursday, Friday, and there's open slots available the week after that. If you think that there's a proposal that need to be done, we have to hear who's for it, who's against it, before we can insert it, and then there would have to be a motion to put it in. So there are some committee times available. put your heads together, figure out what that might be, and we'll go from there. I would like to just then, if that makes sense, did I answer? And you're all set? A head nod or a thumbs up that we're good to go with the letter? Thank you very much for your work and appreciation. We are adjourned for today.